Good afternoon, everybody. It's Masters Week, and Taylor Zarzour of SiriusXM is with us. Taylor, happy Masters Week, my friend. You're down where most people would just love to be, and that's Augusta. And ain't no better place to be in this week, I'll tell you.
That's true, Jim. Thank you. It is a labor of love to be here on these grounds. It is such a special spot. It brings out the best in everybody when they're here. It just is so beautiful. The fact that you don't get to have your phone on the golf course, I think, is a real treat. It requires you to be more present than just about anywhere else in your life and pay attention to all of your surroundings and the people that you're with. It's a wonderful thing.
Have you had your pimento cheese sandwich yet?
I haven't had my first one yet. I do. It is my favorite pimento cheese, but I would say it's not my favorite sandwich at Augusta National. I'm more of an egg salad or even a barbecue guy. They have some great offerings here in those departments, but they also have a new tomato pie that they've unveiled this year, and that is that's the most important thing that I need to do when this interview is over.
Okay. Now, a lot of people don't know this about Augusta, and I think it's a lot of fun, is when you step in behind the ropes at Augusta on the event days, it's like walking back in time. It's like you're entering a museum where people are going to play, an event. It's to golf as Madison Square Garden is to basketball, and it's a cathedral. It's funny that crossover wise, right, audience wise, year in year out, the Masters is potentially the only golf tournament a number of people will ever watch. So take us behind the scenes and give us an idea of, like, walking back, as I said, in the 50s and 60s. You can buy those pimento cheese sandwiches, you can buy those tomato pies, and you still aren't going to break the bank. It's ridiculously how cheap it is to actually eat there.
Yeah, it only costs a couple of bucks. You can have a sandwich and a soda or a beer for about $5 or $6 total, and the prices have not changed much over decades and decades, which is a real treat. Now, there is a wonderful merchandise building here. There's actually several. Where you can do a significant amount of damage for yourself and for your friends. But there's a man that meant a great deal to my life named Ron Green Sr., who wrote for a Charlotte newspaper for many years. He covered 60 Masters, and he just passed away in the last year. And years ago, he wrote about Augusta National, and he called it Eden with flagsticks. And
that's a good way of putting it.
It's just a great way of putting it. It's just such a special place. It was a nursery gym before it was a golf course,
right?
And I think this, and certainly after Mr. Jones and Mr. Roberts bought the place, they wanted to continue to celebrate what it used to be with what it became, and that's still the case 90 plus years later. Is the grounds still looks like a nursery with a golf course around
it. Prior to starting things here, we had a little conversation about the challenge. I mean, you can watch golf on television, but translating golf on the radio is very difficult. And I must say, you and the entire SiriusXM team, and I do listen to you guys and have for years on the golf broadcasts, are able to capture it in a way that to me, it's more exciting to listen to than it is to necessarily watch.
Well, I really appreciate that. It is, it's my favorite assignment of the year, getting to work with Mike Tirico, who is truly one of the best that's ever done this in the history of broadcasting, and the rest of our team. I marvel just as much at our producers, Jeremy Davis and Justin Ware, and our engineering team and everyone else that helps. We have someone that is seated next to me right now, Brian Fisher, is in charge of all of our logistics this week. I mean, everybody that is here is the best at what they do. And I think that you hear that when you listen to the broadcast. I think it's having the right team in place is a big reason why we're so proud of what you hear during the broadcast. But it's a very different assignment than broadcasting it on television. Jim Nantz is one of my dearest friends in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it takes a ton of talent from him and the rest of his team to know when to speak and to know when to not speak on a broadcast, because of all that you can see and how beautiful and powerful the visuals and the sounds are that you're seeing on your television screen, and what you should verbally support that with. That's a real talent, to be able to know the right things to say and when to say them. But on the radio, it's a completely different skill set. You have to be all the senses, and you have to be able to describe the wind and the trees and the green and the grass and the color of the sky and what the player is hitting and what they're wearing. You have to, and how many people are around them when they play a shot, on top of calling the shot.
Right.
So, Vin Scully to me was the best ever at doing that, the longtime voice of the Dodgers, who of course had great success in television and radio and called the Masters for years. I'm sure you remember that.
Yep.
He was the best at describing that beautiful sky behind Dodger Stadium and how it was 75 degrees and it looked like there was a thread of a cloud that was 10 miles away. He would do that and then describe the baseball on the field. I think that all of us are charged with doing that when you listen to golf on the radio. It's one thing to do that for a football game or a basketball game when you have one thing happening in front of you. But when you have as many as 18 things happening out on the golf course and deciding which piece goes next and what to call and be able to call it in its entirety, it's a big challenge. I would argue calling golf on the radio is the biggest challenge in sports broadcasting, but because of what I just mentioned.
I would agree. I'm gonna say though, and SiriusXM carries this, so I can say this. Tennis is a little difficult too because it goes so fast, but SiriusXM does an outstanding job of both doing it. Now, you just talked about guys like Vinny and Jim. Jim is of the less is more kind of school. Vinny was, God love him, the other way, which was he painted pictures on television that you were seeing in front of you, but it was like, wait a minute. He was picking up stuff I wasn't seeing. It was like, okay, this is cool. So, as we said before, it's a challenge. Logistically, where are you on, as a broadcast goes? Where will you be during the? I know you've got different tasks, and we'll go over those tasks first coming up on Thursday, and then change over on the weekend. But where will you physically be during the tournament?
So Mike Tirico, Johnson Wagner, our lead analyst, and I will be in the press building. We'll be right where I'm sitting right now, which is we are on the back end of the tournament practice area. So the range where all the players are warming up, and I'm looking at a monitor right now of Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy is literally right now hitting shots in my direction.
Okay.
So I'm 350 yards away from him on the other end of the range here at Augusta National. And so we're stationed here, and we have 4 rooms in the bottom of the press building. We have a couple of production rooms and a couple of broadcast rooms here in the press building. And this is where our main broadcast originates from. And our producers, Jeremy and Justin, they are constantly looking at every camera on the grounds to decide what goes next and decide what we're going to call next. And then we have a number of terrific commentators that are stationed out on the golf course. As an example, Brian Katrek is in the grandstand in a tiny little broadcast booth that's at the top of the grandstand to the left of the 15th green. the par 5 15th here at Augusta National. And he's watching what's happening in front of him on the 15th hole. And then directly beneath him is the 16th tee. So he can just turn around and look below him and watch people hit shots on the 16th. So if something of significance is happening in one of those two spots, Mike or myself will toss it to Brian there at that position and say, let's go to 15 and Brian Katrek. The same can be said with John Maginnes, who's at the top of the 12th tees in the grandstand, that magnificent grandstand at the top of the 12th hole. He's there. And if something happens at Amen Corner on arguably the most famous hole in the world, we go to John Maginnes on the 12th. Now, if we don't have someone there, then we'll call it from here. But that's sort of the way that it works. And I wish everyone could. I wish they would televise Jeremy and Justin hosting this broadcast, because I think, kind of like you, I think everybody would find it fascinating to see sort of how the sausage is made and what happens next.
You know, it's just talking about holes. In preparation for Masters, I talked to Curtis Strange the other day. And Curtis was saying that what he thinks fans don't quite understand about Augusta, and I'd like your opinion on this. He says there are holes where even the best, like a Rory McIlroy or Justin Thomas, any one of these spectacular golfers, come to Augusta, and it's just the hole that tortures them year after year after year. It doesn't matter how well they're playing. I mean, they can win the tournament, but this one hole, and it's different holes for different people, just seems to torture it, and it's the way that the golf course is laid out.
Yeah, it is. And it's, if you're, like, as an example, let's say you're most comfortable hitting a draw. You're a right-handed golfer, and you're comfortable playing a shot that starts right and ends left. Well, that would work out really well for you on most of the holes out here, because they are, as we call in the golf business, dog leg lefts. But the first hole and the 18th hole are dog leg rights. And so on the 18th hole, as an example, if you are a drawer of the golf ball and you have to hit a cut, you have to hit a fade on the 18th hole, and you're not comfortable doing it, then you're going to hit a draw over the fairway bunker on the left, and you're going to be over where a practice area used to be, and you're going to have a completely blind shot into the green. Most people that are watching this will remember Tiger Woods when he won his first Masters in 1997. He hit it over there on the last hole of the tournament. Thankfully for him, he had a huge 12-shot lead at the time. But I mean, there are a number of shots like that. If you're somebody that, Jack Nicklaus, as an example, liked to play the ball from left to right, but he was so good at figuring out exactly where he needed to start a golf ball in each hole, even if it required a draw. But as an example, the second hole here is a par 5, and it is a huge dog leg left. And if you don't hit a good draw around the corner, your ball's not going to go all the way down the hill, and you're not going to have a chance to go for the green in 2 and make a birdie or an eagle. So, yeah, there's a comfort or an uncomfortable amount of shots here that may not fit your eye. I think probably the best example, now that I'm thinking about this, would be the 13th hole, the par 5.
Yeah,
they've lengthened the tee there. They've moved it back a bit, but you have to hit, I would say, Jim, a hook instead of a draw. I mean, you have to really move the ball 20 to 30 yards from right to left off of that tee there to find the fairway and go for the green. So, and if you don't, you're in the pine trees to the right, or you're in the creek to the left. And we've seen a number of players lose the Masters right there.
Another place where we've seen a bunch of players lose their Masters is on the greens.
Yes.
And the pin placements for all 4 days seemingly get more diabolical from Thursday to Friday to Saturday to Sunday. If you can, and again, we talked about this earlier, the topography of the course is something you don't really see on television. And that's not just for Augusta, but it is for golf courses in general. explain some of the greens that and challenges that they have because of the, you want to hit the ball over the cup so it'll draw back on some of them. The others, you don't want to get too far in front because it'll trickle off the green and back into the fairway.
Well, we just visited with Rory McIlroy before you and I started here, and we are asking 18 different players to describe 18 different holes. And we asked Rory to describe the first hole, and he did a very good job of describing that green as you're talking about, just how difficult it is to navigate these greens. He said there's almost 4 different sections to the green, and they have tiny little islands where they'll put the hole location in each corner of that first green. And if you don't hit the ball onto that little island, then your ball is going to go some 30, 40, 50 feet away from the hole. Or if you hit it closer to the fringe, it's going to roll all the way off of the green, and you're going to have a very difficult chip coming up for your third shot. So those are great points. The 6th hole is another example of that, where you just have a tiny little amount of green to hit the ball, like the back of the 6th green. If you don't hit it exactly into that section of the green, you'll be 50 feet away from the hole. I would say the best example is the 12th hole. The Sunday hole location on 12 is going to be to the extreme right portion of the green. It always is. That's their traditional spot there on 12. And Jim, if you hit the ball anywhere right of that hole, it's going to land on the bank, and your golf ball is going to roll all the way into Race Creek, and you're going to see, like Jordan Spieth dealt with 9 years ago, or Francesco Molinari dealt with 6 years ago. You're going to see players have to drop and hit their third shot, and chances are they'll lose the Masters because they went after that flag and they barely hit it right of the hole. The only person that was lucky enough to not say that is Fred Couples in 1992. Somehow his ball stayed on the bank and didn't go in the water. They had some rain and it softened that bank a little bit, and he was fortunate enough it stayed there. He made par and went on to win his only Masters tournament. But I would look at that 12th green as maybe the most challenging shot come Sunday.
Okay. All right. We're going to get in here to wrap up time. So 2 things. I don't want to put you on the spot to pick a winner, but give me 2 or 3 people who, there's like 20 who could win it, but
sure.
Give me 3 or 4 that you think are people you should be watching.
Well, Scotty Scheffler's won 2 of the last 3, and I think that he's just so comfortable here, and he's the smartest player in the field when it comes to managing his game. He always hits the correct shot, and he puts it in an area where he can play his next shot from.
Right.
He's a plotter of the golf of the game, and I think he always gives himself a chance. And I know that's not going out on a limb, but I think he's just the most sure thing in the field. Justin Thomas has never won the Masters, and he's had a couple of chances where he's finished in the top 10, but never a real chance in the last couple of holes. I really like the way he's played so far this year. I think that this is his best chance to win a green jacket, especially with the way he's hitting his irons right now. So I like his chances. Jason Day has a great record here. Terrific short game. You have to be able to get up and down from around the green in order to win a green jacket. And I think Jason is maybe the best when it comes to his ability to recover from a missed approach shot. So those are 3 guys I'd watch. And then the obvious name that everybody's thinking about is Rory McIlroy, trying to complete the career Grand Slam and win the Masters. He is this is his 11th chance, Jim, to complete the career Grand Slam. He has not won a major in over a decade. And with each passing year, there becomes more and more pressure because he is arguably the most identifiable player in the game. Rory, to me, needs to prove to himself that he can get off to a good start on Thursday, not make too many mistakes, and give himself a chance on the back nine on Sunday. He's never really been in the fight with 3 or 4 holes to go.
Sure.
I think he absolutely has the game to do it, but I need to see it to believe it.
And the TPC is not Augusta National.
Well, that's right. And he had already won that event before.
Mhm.
So he doesn't feel the pressure. I don't think he puts himself under as much pressure playing that tournament as he does this one. Rory has the most active mind of anyone I've ever met in golf. If I want to know what book to read, I'm going to ask Rory McIlroy. I mean, really, out of anybody in my life, he is such a well-read, thoughtful person. But I think that also hurts him when it comes to something he desperately wants, because he thinks about all the things that come with it. And I think that turning off his brain will be a real challenge this week.
Well, I don't think he's going to have to turn off that brain. It's going to be tough. Okay, let's get to the important stuff. Channel 92 on SiriusXM, where we can find you guys. Let's talk about the highlights and what we can listen to in our cars or on the apps from you guys this weekend. Let's start with Tirico and the gang doing it. Mike's a longtime friend, and there probably isn't anything he can't do. He was actually hired by ESPN. His first gig was to do lacrosse. So he's come a long way from lacrosse. Anyway, give us what's going on.
Yeah,
SiriusXM this weekend.
Jim, it's an incredible privilege to have Mike as a teammate this week. And when I say teammate, I mean it. He is one of our teammates this week. He makes it very clear that he doesn't want any special attention, that he wants to be a part of this process just as much as everyone else is. And everyone just so appreciates his kindness. And obviously we are all marvel at his talent. This man is anchoring the Olympics, and next year he's going to do play-by-play on television for the Super Bowl. He's going back to call the NBA for NBC. He doesn't have to do that this week. He does it because he loves it. And I think he really enjoys being with us. And that is it's a real treat to get to have him be part of our team. So he'll be leading our coverage come Thursday afternoon at 2 Eastern time, and Thursday through Sunday from 2 until the finish of play each day. You can listen to Mike. We will be on the air at 7 a.m. Thursday and Friday with early coverage. The honorary starters, Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson, and Gary Player, will be out on the first tee. We'll be able to call that action actually on Thursday morning. And then each of those three join us for an interview, which is wonderful. Some of the early coverage, you'll hear that in the morning. Our full-blown play-by-play doesn't start until 2 o'clock, but Augusta National allows us to do one group before that. And obviously one of those days it'll be Scotty Scheffler, and the other day it'll be Rory McIlroy. So that'll be exciting to get to call all of their shots before the actual play-by-play starts in the afternoon. And then Saturday and Sunday from 2 until 7 till the finish of play each day. We'll have the third round and the final round as well. It is it's a real honor to get to call ourselves Masters Radio this week on Channel 92.
It's also the exclusive place for Masters Radio.
Right. That's right. Yes, this is the 5th straight year that we have done the play-by-play, and good Lord willing, CBS, by the way, this is the 70th consecutive year the CBS has televised the Masters. They're the only ones that have ever done it, and we're at year number 5. So hopefully we can keep this going for a long time to come.
In 1956, they covered it with 6 cameras.
Chris Schenkel, that's right.
75 cameras is what Lance Barrow has got at his disposal this time. And that doesn't count drones and God knows what else that CBS has pulled out to get there. But I actually had a very brief period of time where I was a runner for CBS on golf.
Cool.
I was Chuck Whitaker, God love him, his wrangler to go get the guests for him, and pretty much did whatever Chuck Will told me to do. But CBS does an outstanding job, as you guys do on the radio. So let's make sure that people get to see it. One real final quick thing. Congratulations on your new gig, which is the voice of the Tennessee Titans.
Thank you. It's an incredible honor, and it's a chance of a lifetime to be an NFL play-by-play man and to do it in a town that my wife and I love so much in Nashville is a dream come true. So very excited, but I'm going to be where my feet are this week, Jim, and enjoy
Good
the
deal.
greatest golf event in the world.
All right. Well, look, all the information on what's going on your coverage and the entire team's coverage on SiriusXM will be in the show box below here. And also, obviously, we are doing a column on this conversation. And so that'll be on Atherton. So you can find us on 3 different places. And we'll make sure that everybody knows what's going on. And if you haven't tried SiriusXM, and specifically checking out 92, give it a go. I think you're going to, once you get hooked, you'll get hooked. You will not want to leave home without it, as the old saying goes. So, again, Taylor, thanks so very much for being with us. We'll catch up with you later down the line because there's a few other golf tournaments that we're probably going to want to chat about.
I would love that.
On down the line. So thanks so very much. And that's it, gang, for this week. And we'll talk to you next time.